Hi everyone. So my previous recording was not did not capture what I was talking about, so I have to re-record it. So here it is. So I'm working on a new project. This is a something using LangChain again. The purpose of this project is to load a bunch of HTML pages in LangChain through a document loader. Then I want to split them up into chunks, and I want to feed these chunks into OpenAI with memory and have a user be able to interact with the information presented from the HTML pages, and the whole pipeline is called the retrieval augmented uh, generation retrieval, yeah, RAG or RAG. So the subject matter that I want to retrieve the information from is a page on real analysis. So here there are a bunch of web pages about beginner real analysis. So I want to download these HTML pages. I want to split them up, like I said, and I want to chunk them and feed them to OpenAI. So this is obviously a really important application, probably the most important application for of LLM to businesses, because businesses want to take all their internal documents. They want to give them to LLMs, split them up into chunks like I'm doing here, and be able have the employee. So they want to create a tool, right, where their employees can ask the LLM questions about all this internal data and get good answers out of it to improve productivity, right? So this is kind of following in that similar step. Here's what I want to do, right? I want to take all this data, all these HTML pages, I want to download them, split them up into chunks, and feed them to the LLM. So in order to do that, you have to use a document loader. So there are lots of different document loaders in LangChain, and the one that I want to use is called the Beautiful Soup HTML document loader. So Beautiful Soup is a library for extracting HTML out of extracting, sorry, the data, the paragraph, the heading, whatever, all of this in a nice format from the HTML. So when you get the HTML, it's big and ugly, and like there's all these headers and all these tags. So Beautiful Soup is meant to sort of just extract the relevant data, right, or the relevant text from it. Um, so the project is a work in progress. It's not yet done, but so far I have at least I have downloaded the HTML in my Docker file. So it is part of. So I wrote a script here which downloads the. So here are my URLs. There's 4 URLs right now. Then here is my Docker file or container file, which is going to run the script right here. And that's going to download the pages. It's also got to convert them to UTF-8 because the pages have non-UTF-8 characters, and this interferes with Beautiful Soup when Beautiful Soup tries to parse the relevant text out of the HTML files. So I got to convert the HTML to UTF-8, and we'll see if that's actually the correct thing to do, because, well, I hope it is, but like I don't want to accidentally get rid of any sort of math characters. That would be a disaster. Since I'm trying to feed the OpenAI information about math, and I want to see if it can also generate proofs based off of that. In order to do that, I think I will have to tell. I'm planning to tell in the prompt OpenAI to forget everything it knows about real analysis and only use the information given, right? So then I can really test if OpenAI is actually using the documents, and if the splitting up of the documents works, the chunk splitting up into chunks and whatever. So, and all of that. Like I want to test the performance of that, right? So, so I also had to add this here in order to run the container and have it remain open, because this is not helpful to me so far. I'm not ready to show. I don't have a chain yet to show for OpenAI, so I can't have this run a web server yet. So here's where I have my code. So this beginning part is just reading all the files in this path. So that, like I said, the HTML is downloaded during as the container file is getting set up. It wouldn't make sense to have the user download it before. The idea is the container is supposed to literally do all the execution of the program. So that's this downloading of the HTML files definitely has to, stay in the container file. So after, here you can see that after I ran the container file, all of my HTML files and their conversion to UTF-8 happened. So after that, in my test.py py file, we will just read all of these files. Here's my text splitter. So recursive character text splitter, there's lots of different text splitters, but the recursive character text splitter is going to try splitting up a file based off, I think there's four things, four characters it tries to look. So for the first sort of character or substring it looks for is a double new line. So it's going to try to split up the document according to double new lines, if that makes sense. So the double new line is supposed to show that the HTML page is, it's supposed to show the beginning of a new section, right? Which is a good place to split up your document. And then, so it tries to split up the document based off of this double new line, right? But if it doesn't, if the chunks that it has after splitting it up based off of the double new line are still too big, then it moves on to the next the next character. So that's why it's called recursive. So it tried first the double new line, and if the chunks are still too big, then it's going to try to split up the chunks, the two big chunks. It's going to try to split them up using the next character, which is just a single new line, right? And then after that it does space, and after that it does single character. But that's like very extreme, doesn't make any sense. So the idea is it's going to try to split up. You give it text, there will be some double new lines in there that indicate that it's a new section, right? When you see double new lines in a text document, that indicates that that it's the next line, right? So that's a logical place to split up your text, right? But if the chunks are too big, like I said, then it looks for new lines and then spaces. So then here's my loader, my document loader, document.load. So this creates a document, and I'm not really sure why this doesn't work. It complains right here that either my UTF-8 data is bad, or the data is supposed to be a list of strings, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So I'm not sure how to fix this right now. I will leave it for next time. But certainly kind of mysterious why this doesn't work. And then I will have to change these parameters to the recursive character text splitter, because like it says here, it's a really small chunk size. I need to carefully look at the data that I have and see, I'm going to split it up, and I'm going to assess whether the chunks that I get make sense. Are they too small? Are they too big? Is there enough overlap for the LLM to understand the surrounding context of the chunk, right? Because that's what the chunk overlap is for. So anything else? No. So that's this, and hopefully next time I will have this sort of ready to go. I will be able to feed this stuff into the OpenAI chain, and I will again use the playground to visualize the results and be able to play with the LLM. Or maybe that probably sounds like a good idea. I think I was worried about I had an idea. So I was thinking that so in my last project I did that thing with a poker hand, or poker hand. So 5 cards. I wanted the OpenAI to explain in real world terms what it means to get, what's the probability of getting a certain poker hand that you give it, right? And that used up a lot of my credits. I mean, not a lot, but I'm saying in relationship to my first project, which was really simple, right? So I'm thinking that the context width, or the context that you give the OpenAI, right? The LLM, the bigger the context, or the more data you give it, to think about, the more expensive, the more they'll charge you for that, right? So I do need to be careful not to, when I send these queries, I cannot just like give it a gigantic, context or information to the LLM, because that doesn't seem very performant. And so I need to be, not only like, I need to be diligent with the amount of information, with my chunk size, with the amount of information that I want to give to the LM. Oh, also, I forgot to say that there is an important step that I forgot to mention. After I split up the chunks, I do need to generate embeddings for these HTML, UTF-8, and ideally that would be done in a separate step. But I'm going to use like that would be done in a separate step, because you do want to remember these embeddings, right? You don't want to generate them every single time the container file is loaded. That would be inefficient, not only for in terms of programming standpoint, but also that would cost money if you have to generate the embeddings for these files every single time you open it up. But I think that is outside the scope of this project. I will just generate the embeddings, and I will have to put them into a vector store. The vector store that I want to use is the Facebook one, which is FAISS, and that one is in memory and it's free, and I don't have to go to a cloud provider, for that. So yeah, so future steps, like I said, I mean the current steps that I have. I've downloaded the HTML file successfully, converted them to UTF-8. I've loaded them. So, and then future steps, I need to chunk them. I need to put them into a vector store. Generate embeddings, put them into a vector store, and then somehow, I don't know how, but I will take this to feed the vector store. No, actually, won't I have to? That does make sense. I will have to. Don't I have to take the OpenAI like output, or like not output, like the user input, and generate an embedding for that, and then compare it to my vector store, and then pull whatever is out of there, and then have that as the answer. So we will see about that. That does seem like an interesting complexity to think about. Other than that, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.